Good evening, everybody. I was going to do a proclamation this evening, and I do have one that I'm going to present to the congregation, but I thought that on this Thanksgiving, this first one that I'm acting and talking to you as mayor, I wanted to talk about what I'm actually thankful for being a member of this terrific community. And I thought maybe I was going to go look at some unique and interesting quotes, but as I was thumbing through my Facebook, I came upon a story about a young woman named Ruby Bridges. Does anybody in this room know who she is? I see one. Ruby Bridges, on November 14th, 1960, was the first young black American to walk into and be escorted by U.S. Marshals into the public school system in New Orleans. And at that time, that was the beginning of desegregation. And it didn't go over very well in this country. I mean, if I look back at that 50 some odd years ago that took place, they have video clips with people that were standing in the parking lots yelling and screaming that desegregation was not good, it would ruin this country. They had people walking into the classes, taking their kids out of the schools because they didn't want them in the same schools as young black children. It was a terrible time in our history. And what I fear is that, and appreciate more than anything, is that how far we've come as a nation, that we could look back at that and see how horrible that was at that time and how far we've come. My fear, though, today is that if you look at the news nationally, we've become almost that nation that we've forgotten what our past is. And my fear is that if you talk to one, nobody really talks to one any other, they talk at one another. I was in LA Fitness the other day doing my workout, and I was listening to the news, but one of the stations that I was listening to was all staticky, so I went to the other station. It doesn't matter which one it is because it's pretty obvious they're so opposite now, but I couldn't believe that I was actually hearing the same story because it seemed so unbelievable that I'm hearing the story and it's so different from two different points of view. I listen and have spoken to members of Congress who tell me that they no longer follow normal order, that if you have one party that's in control, they basically set the agenda and they bring that out to the floor for a vote without having any discussion any longer. And my fear is that if the other party was in charge, they would do the same thing in reverse. So I'm not playing favorites here. I think it's just a symptom of where and what we've become. We no longer build bridges between communities, we actually build walls. But in East Brunswick, things are different. And that really is what I'm thankful for. We are one of the most diverse communities in the entire state, and New Jersey is one of the most diverse states in the entire country. Ibby's opened up a couple of years ago in the Mid-State Mall, if any of you go there. They did their research when they tried to find a place to go to. They specifically wanted to find a community in New Jersey that was centrally located and had a very diverse population, people that would be willing to give something different a little bit of a try. And they've been successful. When I was on the school board, I would listen to stories about the ESL program and kids that are coming into our school system from over 160 different languages being spoken, and within a year they become fluent in English, representing over 100 different countries of people that come here. I would go to the library and listen to the individuals who are becoming American citizens and listen to their stories about how and why and what they had to go through in order to get to this country. It's really enlightening to hear how people have risked their lives to come to this country and to give up everything with no guarantee that they would be successful and no guarantee that they would even ever end up here, but they're here and they're so thankful for being here. I see many, many different houses of worship. We see many of them here today, where everybody gets along with one another and we learn from one another. We have very vast but rich cultures that share some of the same traditions, and we have so much more in common than we could ever have apart. I was actually at a friend's house for Ramadan, And one of the desserts they served was some sort of fried bread with the sugar on it. And I'm thinking, okay, well, the Italians have zeppolis, and the French call them beignets, and I go to the park in the summer and they serve funnel cakes. We have all these cultures, and yet at the same time, we all have so much more in common than we have apart. That's what we have here in East Brunswick. And we generally stick up for one another, and that's how we grow better. And we do not remain silent in the face of injustice. Martin Luther King was quoted as saying that we shall have to repent in this generation, not so much for the evils of the wicked people, but for the appalling silence of good people. And what I'm so grateful for is that I'm surrounded by a township and a community of good people where we all share our values and we share our cultures and we share our traditions and we share our friendship. And to me, that's the best insurance that we will never remain silent. So this is what I'm thankful for.